Welcome to Matrix Tips and Tricks. Today we're going to learn about map searching and some of the new tools that are available to you in Matrix. Some of you have realized that a map search is a great way to define the area that you want to search in instead of using more a restrictive type of search criteria like school district or city or zip code. You want to be a little more freeform and draw exactly where you want to look or your client or customer wants you to find them their dream home in. So the way you do a map search in Matrix is you first of all go to search, choose the property type you're going to search within, and what I have here is the residential quick search pulled up, and then you're going to notice that I've got a link for map search right here. So I simply click there. Now, your map is going to open up in what we call a default view that's already been set for you, and the default view is going to be more or less centered over Tulsa. Now, if let's say Tulsa maybe is not your particular market area, and let's say Sand Springs maybe, you can always take the map and move it over just a little bit, zoom in as needed, and you'll notice that as I'm zooming in, the map is dynamically changing. Right now, there are clusters on the map of properties. The reason that we do this is because if there are more than 500 visible results in the view that you're zoomed in on, instead of showing you, in this case, 2,444 markers on the map, we're going to keep it simple and just give you some clusters. And as you keep moving in, and when you get below 500 properties, then you'll start seeing the actual properties appearing on the map. So this is more or less to just keep you sane with not having to see 2,444 properties. But back to my original thought is that as I'm zooming in, and maybe again, Sand Springs happens to be my market area. If I want my map to always open up within the Sand Springs view and not have to always zoom in and pan around, I can tell my map where I'd like it to be always when I go to my map search. And then I can click on the gear in the top right-hand corner of the map, and I can set that map view as my default starting search. So if I were to do that every time I went to the map search, it would always center itself where I want it to be and not where the default view is. So again, just a way of making things maybe a little bit quicker and easier for you and more convenient. So you'll notice now that I'm below 500, I'm at 444 properties, and now I can see all of the markers appearing. Now, what are these markers referencing? They're green. They're green because the only criteria by default that I've selected are active properties at this point. I can then narrow it down into houses if I want to, but again, you're not going to, narrow it down by any geographic search criteria because you've already done that using the map search. So now you're going to go in and, maybe look for, X number of bedrooms or a square footage range, but you're going to kind of stay out of the center section because the map is superseding everything that you're doing at that point. So now that I've got my map up with my properties, now I can go in and I can zoom in a little bit more if needed. And now I can start drawing shapes on the map. And the shapes that I can draw are referenced across the top of the page. I have my radius, I have my rectangle, and I have my polygon. And you can draw a combination of these shapes on the map, or you can just stick with one or two if you want to. So let's look at the circle or the radius first. Click on the radius search. Notice that'll highlight in yellow, so that means that you've initiated that search. Take your cursor, and it turns into a little crosshair when you put it onto your map, and then just hold your mouse button down and simply drag across the screen until you get out to the distance that you want. So if you want a half a mile radius, you'll notice that it will tell you you're out a half a mile, let go, and it will then encapsulate those properties within that circle and remove the other ones. So at this point now, I'm just looking for the active houses. If I wanted to go back to my criteria, and let's say I wanted to look for closed properties within the past 180 days, I can do that, go right back to my map again, and now, in essence, I have the beginning of a comparative market analysis. My active properties closed within the past 180 days, and of course, I would then go down and, filter that down a little bit more. Now, when you have a circle on the map, If the circle is too large or too small and you need to modify its size, you don't have to erase it and start over again. Just grab the circle anywhere you need to. And again, notice that when I touch the outer end of the circle with my cursor, there's a little dot that appears. And as soon as you find that little dot, just drag your circle larger. Maybe you need to go out 7/10 of a mile. Let go, and now you'll see additional properties pop into the map. And conversely, you can also narrow your circle as needed from there. And here's another feature that's kind of nice is if you don't want to keep the circle where you have it there, you want to kind of move it over a little bit without having to, make a new circle or, closing this one out and adding a different one. Just take your little hand, which is your cursor, get it right in the center of that circle, kind of almost taking, if you could see, an index finger on that little hand and getting it right in the center of that circle. And you can then take that little circle and you can pick it up and you can move it wherever you want to. So you can maybe see what was over here and then see what's over there. So you don't have to, again, draw a new one. Now, of course, we can add multiple shapes to the map. If we've got a nice little circle there and we want to put a square on the map, we can add squares to that. If you want to make that square into a rectangle, you can make it larger if you need to. So again, you've got, some flexibility there. Now, the little whisk broom that you see across the top clears all your shapes, and I'm going to do that at this point in time because I want to show you the final tool, which is the polygon tool, which is right across the top. And the polygon tool is a great way to follow roads and rivers. So as an example, I can start over here, polygon tool, crosshairs, put my first mark, slide across, and when I want to put a stake in the sand, I just click. And then I come down over here, click again, and it's, again, a great tool for finding those listings within a very specific set of parameters that you want. I mean, you can keep doing this as many times as you want. It, again, just like putting a stake in the sand. When you're done, you just simply close it up, and now you have this unique shape. If you need to modify that shape, just grab that shape anywhere. Remember back to the circle. Remember the little dot I have? I can take that little shape and I can just make it larger. I can just kind of draw it out and expand it, kind of like a rubber band search. I guess that would be the best example there. And then the final thing that you can do with map searching is if you need to exclude something from a particular shape. Maybe for whatever reason you want to box out or exclude a set of properties within a shape. Maybe they back up to a highway or maybe the power lines or the railroad tracks, whatever scenario you have. All you have to do is pick another shape again, whatever shape it may be, and just box out the area that you're intending to include. Let's say I want to exclude these properties right here. So I drew a rectangle, boxed them out, and then I'm going to go right to that little dot. And when I go to that little dot on my map, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can see that exactly. So when you go back to that little dot, you can now exclude that particular shape from your search results. Remember, I had those properties in there, I boxed them out, I excluded them, and now they're not going to be included in my search results. And at this point, what's kind of nice about this is once you do that and you then go to your search results, you'll only be displaying the properties that are within the shape that you've drawn, excluding the ones that you've boxed out. And then you can go from here and you can create your CMA, you can do your quick CMA. You can also save that search as a template that you can use over and over again. You can even turn that search into an auto email and use that criteria for your client or customer to send them auto emails for properties that they're looking for. So we just came to things in a different way. Instead of doing the old fill in the blank search where we used fixed criteria, we decided to use the map instead and draw the different shapes and also show you how to exclude. Again, just a different way to get to the same place using mapping. And that's the map search tips and tricks from today's Matrix lesson.